All right, man. Well, then let's kick it off. So, Larry Briar, man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I like your podcast. I've listened to them for a while, and I think the first one I actually watched, I went back and watched them all. Was Gunner Mike Carr. We were
Hmm.
stationed in 2-6 together, so that's how I actually realized you had a podcast.
He's got some good ones. There's some good
Yeah,
ones with him on there. He's got some cool stories.
yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, yeah. That's you've listened to all the podcast.
I think I've listened to all of them, maybe besides the last couple.
Oh, really? Yeah. Damn, that's a
Yeah.
lot. It's probably so. Has it changed a lot? Have you? Because I mean, initially my audio kind of sucked. I kind of fixed everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think sometimes you get some audio issues, but it seems like seems like now you have it gone down to a science now, so which is good.
Yeah, it just takes time and experience and stuff like that. Well, I appreciate the support, man. That's cool that you've been listening to it for a while. My mom actually told me today. I was talking to her a little bit ago that my cousin in Indiana, she works at a bank. I guess she went into the bank and some guy was telling her about a podcast and it was mine. And I was like, no way. I was like, that's
That's
crazy.
awesome.
So,
That's good, man.
I'm glad it's getting out there and I'm glad people are hearing it. And it's something
Yeah.
random like that. They live in Kokomo, Indiana. So that's pretty
Oh
wild.
man, I'm so familiar with that area. I did in Peru, Indiana, so I know Kokomo well.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was in Lafayette.
Okay.
That's where I came from, is Lafayette, Indiana, right there
Yeah,
by
yeah.
Purdue University. We'll get
Yep.
into. I want to get into some of the different things you did. What year did you join again? Where did you come from?
I joined. I grew up in Michigan, so I joined in 1992, August 1992. Matter of fact.
Okay, so question. 9/11, the 20th anniversary was just occurred and stuff like that, and I don't think anybody talks about it because nothing obviously happened, but you guys didn't know at the time. But what was it like on base when 9/11 occurred?
Yeah. So that was crazy. So my family was in Okinawa. My family was stationed in Okinawa.
Okay.
I should say we were stationed in Okinawa. But I went to a school. I think I just got promoted to staff sergeant then, and then I went to a Marine Corps Security Force school in Chesapeake, Virginia. So I went back to that school again. So then I got selected and got promoted, and so I was actually in Michigan when it happened. I remember exactly when it happened, and it happened. It happened. Like 8:30 in the morning or something like that. So I was sleeping. I think my mom called me and said, "Hey, are you watching TV?" I said, "No." So I turned the TV on and I seen what happened. Of course, like everybody. And then, my initial thing when the first plane hit, I thought it was a terrorist attack. I swear that's what I said, because there's like no one's gonna do this on purpose.
Yeah.
So and then of course, it all panned out. It was so.
Yeah. So okay. So you weren't on base when all that happened, huh?
No. Nope.
Okay. So you came in as infantry. Is that what you wanted to do?
Yes. Um, I think as a young kid, back then I wanted to do something that exciting. So I think my first thing was to be an MP. And then my recruiter showed me this high-speed video of Marine Corps Security Forces. That's what I did my first year and a half. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then I told my dad was in Vietnam in the Army, and I told my dad, it's like, yeah. He's like, well, what are you gonna be doing after that? I was like, infantry. He's like, don't be doing that. That's stupid. So as soon as he said that, I said, infantry is what I wanted to do. So
Dad disagrees, so I got to jump in on that
yeah,
train.
yeah, absolutely.
So that is a path that a lot of people don't realize that are outside of the Marine Corps and outside of the infantry too, is that you may not go to the fleet right off the bat. You may go to
Right.
the Marine Corps Security Forces. Can you kind of talk about what their role is and what your role as a junior Marine in that organization is?
Yeah, I think it depends on where you're at. So I was in Norfolk, Virginia. So we had two jobs that we had to do there. Either was guarding the gates at Sinclair Fleet, where all the NATO headquarters was, or also actually there's three jobs I should say, and then or you're guarding a turnstile in this NATO building, or the other option was you're guarding nuclear weapons at in the wire. So those were the three jobs that we did, and then of course we had a week of training too as well.
So that doesn't sound very fun though,
No, it's very glamorous when you watch a video, but I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad duty station by any means. I mean, I was a young PFC Lance Corporal. Then, I mean, I was 19, 20 years old. So yeah, it ain't a glamorous job. It's got to get done. And then I think, if I remember correctly, I can't remember exactly when we shut down. I think it was 93. We shut down, and then I got orders to 2-4. So I was only there for like maybe a year and a half.
Okay. Yeah, that's I mean, I guess at the time that probably wasn't a bad gig because there really wasn't. There was no global war on terror. You know,
Right.
people were wanting to get on Muse to get a deployment. I'm sure. You know, I mean, what was that like? Tell us what it was like pre-global war on terror. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's like, so I checked in at 2-4, I think in 93. And shortly after we were in Cuba for like, I don't know how long, a couple of months, we were in Cuba for the riots there. When we came back, it switched from 2-4 to 2-6. So, which made more sense anyways. But go ahead.
Can you back up what riots happened in Cuba?
I honestly think there's riots between just the local population. I don't know the government. I mean, nothing crazy. I think we were there for like a couple months, and they're throwing rocks at us. We couldn't really do anything. So back then you had your what do you call those little shield things?
Yeah.
And you back them up, and it was honestly the most BS mission ever. So, but you got to do what you do. It's peacekeeping, really.
Were you just called in to be reinforcements for the security element that was already there? So what were they like coming at the gates and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like towards the embassy and stuff like that. So the MSG couldn't handle all that. They didn't have enough Marines to do that.
Yeah, huh? That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, and then so I was so when it switched to 2-6. I believe in 93 or 94. I can't remember, what year it was specifically. And then so I think my next deployment was to, was on a med float. I think that was 95, 96 time period. And then after that, we came back from the med float. And during that time, it might have been closer to 96, I think. During that time is when was Bosnia was happening, and we're in a Muse, so we pretty much the Gator Squares. It was Operation Deny, but we Operation Deny flight. But actually, we never went in. We loaded the Amtrak because my company was Amtrak, like a bunch of times. We had all of our gear stage ready to go, but we never went in because they sent brigades or army in there. So we never went ever to Bosnia. We just off the coast. Off the coast of, in the med there, like doing Gator Squares for like 59 days. I remember if we said 60 days, we get beers. So everybody's excited about that. But of course, the 59th day we went to port. So, we had to get our own beers.
Nice. Well, I mean, that sucks. For people that have never been on ship, they can never realize how miserable life is.
Oh my God.
When you're not doing anything, you're just floating out there, it's just.
I mean, it was so bad, man. Like everybody was fighting. Just because we're so cooped up for, that long of a time. So people were fighting, over, I don't know what, probably over a card game or something, or someone brought, I think back then you had Nintendo or something like that. I don't know. So people, playing a football game, someone lost a football game, they cheated or whatever. They wanted to fight or, something like that. So
everybody's too tense, man. Everybody's too tense. You're locked up in prison, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was my worst deployment by any means. The training, I mean, up to that happened, the training was awesome. We trained with the Israelis, the Greek military, a bunch of countries, Italy, and that was cool. But once we got the word we were pretty much locked down, that's where everything went downhill.
Yeah, when I was on the East Coast, I was hearing about all these Muse and people going to, like you said, Israel and Spain and all these places.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that sounds fucking cool. And then, because I had done Iraq and I had done 2 Afghan deployments at that point. And then after my second Afghan deployment, I got orders to ANGLICO and rolled right into a MU workup. And I'm like, well, at least it's not Afghanistan again or Iraq. Maybe it'll be a booze cruise. And it was like not that at all. It was fucking miserable. I was like, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to go see some cool places. I got to go to like Hong Kong and Singapore and freaking, Dubai and all this stuff, but it's not, to me, it's not worth it to be locked on ship.
No, it's not worth it. I mean, and then like, I was a young Marine then. I think I was a corporal. So, we had to be back at like midnight or something like that, or whatever the case may be. We could never stay out. Like, I'm pretty sure it was 96, maybe 95. I can't remember specifically, but we actually on a tour in Bethlehem, and the Prime Minister of Israel got killed. So we all had to come back. We're locked on ship for however long because we couldn't come out. I think eventually we left and went wherever else we went next,
Yeah, they don't want it to look like there's some kind of military action there with all the Marines and stuff there. What was that like? I've always wanted to go and see like that ancient history like that.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, we didn't get too far into it. I mean, we're like literally in Bethlehem, and then we all had to come back to the ship. I think they sent Shore Patrol to come get us, if I remember correctly, and then we all had to come back, and we really didn't know at the time what was going on until we get back on ship. Then we heard the Prime Minister got shot or whatever. So you just
got to tease.
Really see much.
You just got a little tease.
We just got to tease.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go see. Like, I'm super fascinated with these like ancient cultures like that. Like, right. And the fact that we have areas that we've preserved. That have all this like, I don't know, just crazy history. You think about Rome, and you think about like, I don't know, all over Italy, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? All the gladiator shit. That's super cool. Like.
Yep.
And then again, I never made it to Japan either. I don't know. You said you were in Japan. That's another place would have been really cool to go because of all the crazy like ancient. They still have stores now that are open that have been open since like 1000, like the year
crazy.
1000. It's like what?
Yeah. I mean, I think Japan for my family is probably the best duty station for like we had young kids at the time, and as far as like just the culture and the people and. Of course, just wherever you go, people that don't like you. For the most part, I mean, the Japanese are very friendly. So
yeah, I've heard. Yeah, most people's complaints, it seems like, has been just getting there, and it's like once you're there, it's like this is the best place I could have been sent.
Yeah, getting there, especially if you got a young family, it takes forever to get there because you fly for. I think I fly from Lejeune to Seattle. Then you're in Seattle for like, I don't know, like 12 hours it seemed like. And then you have to go to mainland Japan. Then from mainland Japan, you got to go Okinawa. So. Oh,
really? I thought it was a direct flight.
No. So you always went to mainland Japan. I think Akusta. I think that's where you went. You flew into there and then you flew from there to Okinawa. So.
That's crazy, man. I remember flying to Hong Kong on my way to Malaysia to do a site survey for a training op, and it was like 15 hours. Like the flight was like 15 crazy. Hours. I was like, man, this fucking sucks.
Yeah,
like this is not it, man. That's the worst though. Did you take the opportunity to go and see some of that local stuff though, like some of the battlefields and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, we went all over the place, like because I think it was MWR at the time. They had tours all the time, so I went to all pretty much everything I could see in Okinawa, and it was fairly reasonable prices. Because I was only a sergeant then, so it's fairly reasonable prices. Yeah, I've seen all kinds of stuff.
Is it weird, like seeing the battlefields where we came and like killed their people, but now they're like running them? Like, is there any kind of weirdness to that, or is it kind of like whatever? Does everybody just?
Yeah, I mean, I could speak. We went to Iwo Jima. Actually, I went there.
Nice.
I went there on UDP. Went out. I think it was '97. I went there on UDP with 2-6. I went to Iwo Jima. All the I think the sergeants and staff NCOs went. The officers went. So that was really cool, man. Just to walk on the ground where so many Marines lost their lives there, and you're still finding ammo. This is I think it's '97. Still, you're finding ammo still in the rocks and on Iwo Jima still.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's pretty crazy.
That was awesome, man.
Yeah, I talked about it a couple podcasts back, but I've only had even one remote opportunity to go, which it was like, hey, your section can only send one person, and I'm in charge. I can't send myself, obviously.
Yeah.
And the guy I chose didn't even get to go. They ended up sending one person from like the entire S3. And man, did you go to the top? Did you climb Mount Suribachi? See, our guys, too many people fell out. Too many people fell out, and now the Sergeant Major Black, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps now,
Yeah.
made everyone stop and turn around. He wouldn't even let them all go to the top of Mount Suribachi on the one opportunity that they had because people were falling out. I was like, that's fucking bullshit, man.
I'm not surprised, man, because like, not trying to jump in like further on, but when I was a company gunny, my battalion commander at the time was Lieutenant Colonel Mullen. He actually became a general, just retired last year, but he was in 2-6 back in the day when General Dunford was the battalion commander. He was a company commander then. He pulled me in his office. Like he was like, he goes, "You're the first person I pulled in the office because I know you've been trained properly, by General Dunford." He goes, "So where does the battalion need to work on?" And I already did a deployment to Afghanistan. I already did Fallujah already once, and I said, the biggest thing I can speak for my company. I'm sure it's the same across the board. It's like this mental and physical toughness. It's like, so what are you saying? It's like, well, we got to get back to hiking and doing stuff like that. So anyways, make a long story short, so his goal was to do, get up to do the McCrest. So I think we got to 17 miles as a battalion, and we started off slow, like probably like 8 miles, wherever this first hump was, whatever it was. But we got to 17 miles, and it was like I can't even count how many Marines from my company are falling out. But anyways, I think he stopped doing it because I think 50% of the battalion was on light duty for humping. I'm like, oh my God, man. So
infantry battalion, man, that's a bad look.
Well, that's the thing is like when the wars were going on, right, between Afghanistan and Iraq, there was no time to do humps.
Yeah.
In between, you come back from one, and you're training for the next one. But majority of the time, you get a new company commander or battalion commander, and they want to start at the basics. So it seems like you never get past the basics whenever you get a new company commander or battalion commander in, because you always have to start from scratch again. Mm-hmm. So then you have guys like myself who's been, on a couple of deployments already, and some other step NCOs and NCOs are like, man, whenever we're gonna start doing the cool stuff, because we keep doing the same stuff over and over again. So yeah, I mean, that's how it works.
The brilliance in the basics, man. That's why people want to reinforce that stuff. It's like it becomes muscle memory. You're right, though. Right. I know what you're saying. Like people don't. People are afraid to push an envelope in training a little bit too, because if you have 50% of your company that gets hurt like that, then obviously that looks bad on the command, right? And like
looks bad.
And like what they're going through right now, where with this whole COVID shot thing, medical for higher commanders is, hey, why isn't this box green? Why isn't above this percentage of people hitting their medical readiness? Blah blah blah. They don't care what it is, just get it done. It's one of those kind of things.
No, trust me. Even when I was a first sergeant, it was the same way. My first duty station was I-9 duty, so that wasn't a bad gig. But I went. I think your first battalion was Mace Battalion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went there as a first sergeant. Oh my God, that was talk about an interesting organization.
Miserable,
to say the least. Miserable. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to be.
Misery lives at Maintenance Battalion.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, it was a nightmare.
I was at 2nd Maintenance Battalion from 07 to 09. And then in 09, when I was in Iraq, is when I did my lat move and went to 10th Marines. Yeah, man, I've told people, I'm like, there's no end to the work. And it's just, you're just turning wrenches all day. And it's more like factory work than it is like, it's like working out in town, but you have to come in and PT, and you have to have formation before chow and formation after chow, and and it's just much more miserable. And you don't go to the field, and when you go to the field, it feels like a joke because no one goes to the field, so no one knows what the fuck they're doing. And it's Maintenance Battalion. What are we going to do in the field? Go out and set up tents, and we just sit there.
Yeah, and then and I think I must have just missed you because I got there in 09. Maybe 2010, I can't remember, but at the time when I checked in, that was when splice was real bad. So my buddy Dubai, I'm taking over his company, and he's going to another company, and I look on this whiteboard. I'm like, dude, where are all these names on this? It was congratulations, Briar. These are all your ad seps. There's like 45 on there. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, and then the other problem with Maintenance Battalion, during that period of time, I'm not sure if it's changed at all. Probably hasn't, but I'm used to deploying as a unit, right?
Yeah.
It's like it reminds me of the reserves. There's a line number for sergeant, mechanic needs to go to CLB whatever or whoever.
Yeah.
So that's another problem with the battalion, because there's no continuity.
Well, yeah, your general support. So,
Right.
like when I went to Iraq with them in 2009, we actually attached to 2nd Supply Battalion because the command, the maintenance commands or whatever in country, I think rotated between Supply Battalion and Maintenance Battalion. 1 year Supply Battalion, 1 year Maintenance Battalion, or whatever. And then when you got selected to deploy, they grabbed up a big group. They're like, hey, we need 30 guys. You 20 are going as mechanics. You 10 aren't going to be mechanics. You're going over with the field MPs, and you're going to be doing convoy security and shit like that. And then we got attached to, they got attached to the MPs, and then we got attached to Supply Battalion, and all the reservist mechanics came in from like 3 or 4 different reserve units. They went to Quantico and did what they call it, Quantico Viper or some shit like that. It was their pre-deployment training. And then they came to us, so they all did training together as reservists. And then they came to us, and then we all came together and tried to do some training. It was a mess, man. It was Maintenance Battalion. I was talking to my buddy Michael Farrell yesterday about it. I got some really good opportunities where they didn't like me when I first got there. So I got to go on the EFSS program, the Expeditionary Fire Support System, the 120 millimeter mortar and the little Jeep thing. They didn't know what it was. They didn't like me when I showed up because I was like 22. I was older than my sergeants as a PFC, and it was just like they just didn't like me. I think I've talked about it before on some of the podcasts, how they thought I was going to request mass and all this other stuff. But I don't want to get into it again. Yeah, I'll do it later some other time. But anyway, I got to go to like Alaska. I got to go to the field. I got to go do shit. Where at Maintenance Battalion, normally you just don't feel like you're in the Marines. Like when we checked in, you don't even get a rifle. The only time we got a rifle was to go to the rifle range. It was like, hey, you're on the range next week. Go down and check out a rifle or sign for a rifle. And then when you're done with the rifle range, you turn it back in because you're never going to the field or doing anything like that. And in environments like that, people have this like false motivation or whatever, and they make life harder for people for whatever reason just because they're in the Marines. It's like, oh, we got to make them miserable. And it's like, dude, we're not storming the gates of fucking whatever. We're mechanics over here turning wrenches. And don't get me wrong, there's a time and place you can get called up to go fight anytime. No matter what your job is.
Hey, I got a question for you real quick. Was Wiggins there was Wiggins a sergeant major when you got there?
I don't know, man. I was a fucking PFC, Lance Corporal. I barely know who my sergeants were.
Yeah, true.
Plus, at Maintenance Battalion, you don't see the battalion. I was MTM company, so maintenance or motor transport maintenance company.
Yep.
And
this company I was with for about a year and a half.
Who's led by a warrant officer or chief warrant officer and a master sergeant. So it's just a completely different world. And I remember going from Maintenance Battalion to 10th Marines and like going to the field and going and just like feeling like I was in the Marine Corps. And it was just such a, it was awesome. So yeah, that sucks. You had to go to Maintenance Battalion, but you saw it, man. You saw, and it's hard. How do you, as someone who's in a leadership position, how can you bring up morale for an entire unit where people are just like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the biggest things when I got there. It's like everybody's like morale's down. So I talked to the staff NCOs, and they're like morale's down. I'm like, so how come? And like majority of them said the leadership. I'd say 90% of them said the leadership, and I said, well, let's change that. And so if we don't want to be, everybody seemed depressed and down, and I was like, well, then it's got to change somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So I said, like I told him, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, I'll have your back. But if you do something stupid, I'm going to hold you accountable. Doesn't matter who you are.
Well, yeah, it's not even that though. Like when I was there, it was like when I showed up as PFC Kramer, I remember I went out for my first day to work, and I didn't even work on trucks. They had me go scrub the walls in the bathroom so that they could repaint them.
God.
That was my first duty. So I was like, whatever. And I was like, whatever. I'm a PFC. I do whatever. But when I actually started working on trucks, None of the sergeants worked on trucks, and very few of the corporals worked on trucks. It was all like a handful of corporals, and the other guys literally sat in the office and would play spades all day. And I remember one time we would always, you know how it goes, we always get boxes of fucking Girl Scout cookies because people always donate Girl Scout cookies. And I remember one time they probably emptied like 30 or 40 boxes of Girl Scout cookies, throwing them out onto the back to get the seagulls to eat them and shit. The sergeants were. And then I had to come in and pick up all the trash from them doing that. And as I'm like picking it up, they're throwing trash down in front of me. And I'm like, dude, like,
yeah, that's horrible.
Like, what is the purpose of this? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just trying to be a douchebag to be a douchebag. And like, there's no respect. I don't respect you at all. And I will never do anything for you because you're going to treat someone like that, you know, like, fuck off.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
That's what you have to deal with at the platoon level, that you as like a first sergeant, you know, what can you do about that? There's not much, right?
Not much I can do unless I know about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
so it's just a culture, man. It's just a different culture because they're not combat arms, and when they go try to do like combat arms type stuff, everyone kind of gaffs it off because they're like, "What are we doing?" They're like, "We're not. This isn't us," and you have no idea what you're talking about. The guy instructing me, you know, just because you're a staff sergeant doesn't mean you know how to use a machine gun or a rifle properly. Yeah. You know, it's just a shitty culture. But let's back up to before you were at Maintenance Battalion. You did an early deployment to Afghanistan. You were there in, was it say 03, 04 time frame?
Yeah, 03. Yeah, so Gunner Carr talked about that. So we were part of AT Battalion. So we sent one company. Golf company went to Baghdad to guard the embassy there. My company, I was a Fox company. We went to Kabul to guard the embassy there, and then Echo Company was Karzai's security detail.
How was that? I mean, you saw the video and stuff of the embassy now, and it being taken over. Is it kind of weird to see it? You know, like with the big Taliban flag painted on the side.
I think talking to a bunch of my Marines too, that everybody's a little frustrated with that. I think for us per se is like we were the first Marines to, before the even MSG Judy even got there, we're the first Marines to guard the embassy. So I think we took at the time we thought it was the most bullshit mission because they're kicking doors down in Fallujah when we're there, and we're stuck guarding the embassy. But if we look back at it though, that's when the elections were going on too. If we look back at it, now, not then, because everybody was disgruntled because everybody wanted to go fight. We looking back and we took a lot of pride in that, because we had no incidents, nobody got hurt, so we took a lot of pride in it, even though at the time we thought it was bull BS mission,
Yeah. I've never been to Kabul. What was like the vibe in the country in 03?
It wasn't too bad, man. It wasn't too bad because and I can't remember our exact schedule, what it was as far as guarding the embassy, but I think we had 3 days on, 4 days off, 4 days on, 3 days off, whatever. But during that time we were training. So we'd always go to the Afghan National Army ranges, whenever we're off, not off, but wherever we're not standing post, we go there and take three Humvees there. We never had a problem. No IEDs, no getting shot at. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was, and in my eyes, it's pretty safe,
Yeah, it makes us want, we did what we needed to do, really quick. We kicked the Taliban out. Bin Laden wasn't there anymore. That would have been a good time to just get out of there, but fucking hung on for 20 fucking years, man. It's so crazy. And the way we got out was just garbage.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's I think it was time for us to get out of there. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to talk bad about the president or anything like that, but just the way we went about it, to me, didn't make any sense. Why we use Kabul airport when we had Bagram that we could use ourselves? You know what I'm saying? And, so I was a little flabbergasted by the whole situation.
People are like, oh, how would they have gotten to Bagram? It's 40 miles or whatever outside the city. It's like, dude, the people that wanted to leave, not all those people were from the city. A lot of people traveled to the city, and now you're trying to get everybody out on a single runway in a city of 5 million.
And that's what I was going to say too. Is like, yeah, it was like 40 miles. It was like 40 miles, 35, 40 miles from Kabul to Bagram, but we went there all the time. We had to go there to just do supply runs.
And it would have been so much easier to secure because it's out in the middle of nowhere, so you would see anybody coming. Whereas there, it's like that strike that they did. It's in the middle of the city of millions of people. Yep. Like, of course, there's going to be collateral damage. Of course, there's going to be things. It's just. I think we're in agreement, and I think we're on the same page as most people that paid attention to it. That it was time to go. At least I can understand the argument of like, hey, we should just keep one battalion in Kabul or whatever, in Bagh or whatever, just to kind of reinforce different structures of the Afghans, logistics or something like that, trying to help them out just to make sure they hang on. I could see that argument, but I'm also like, hey, it was time to get almost everybody out of there at least. We just fucking didn't do it the right way. And killing 7 kids, I think 10 people, and 7 of which were kids, on the last strike that was supposed to be a, retaliation strike for what happened to the 13 Marine sailors and soldiers that died. Well, I don't know, man. And the fact that they're saying that no one will get fired for this, or no one, like, it's just crazy. It's like if I as a JTAC would have gone and done a bad strike and killed a bunch of families and stuff like that, like, I don't know. I don't think I would have just walk away from that with nothing happening. Depending on the situation.
It's same thing being an infantry guy. If we were shot up a bunch of innocent civilians, I really highly doubt I wouldn't get any trouble.
So was the Kabul embassy or the American embassy in Kabul, was it built already? Did we just take over some other building, or were you there like after they constructed it? Because I don't know how that works.
Yeah, it was already constructed. It was already constructed there. I mean, the ambassador was there. I forgot the staff that work at the embassy were there. So when we're getting ready to leave, that's when the MSG duties, we did a rip with them. That's when they showed up, and we did a rip with them. So it was already there. I mean, we just had to change, like anything, change the post out, that made more sense than what it was. So yeah, it was already established.
Okay. Now, did you guys ever get attacked at the embassy? Did anyone ever, was that an issue at all?
No, I mean, there's some RPGs in the distance, but nothing ever directed at the embassy.
It was just pretty quiet there the whole time.
It was quiet, yeah. It was quiet.
So after that, when you got back from that, what was the plan? What was the game plan for you and your battalion?
We actually had to come back early. I think we had to come back, I think we were there for 5 months. And if I remember correctly, we couldn't stay 6 months because if we did, we couldn't deploy to Fallujah. So we already knew when we were leaving there, we were going to Fallujah, 5 months later. So we already knew that we're going there. So that's what we planned when we got back.
How was that, on your family? Coming home and being like, hey, I'm leaving again in 5 months for another combat deployment.
Yeah, I think my wife was used to it because I already did 4 deployments before I went to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So she's pretty much used to it. And she was in the Navy and her dad was in the Army, so she pretty much has a good understanding of how the military works. So that helps. Of course, that helped. I mean, she made it seem easy. The only time she ever really got upset is when I missed my oldest daughter being born for whatever reason for a bullshit freaking field operation that we're going to Virginia for AP Hill. So I missed that, and then I was getting ready to go to Okinawa when I got back from the med float, and no time my wife ever got upset. So my son was due, and we got our flight window changed a week prior, a week ahead of time. So my wife got upset because she's like, well, you already missed Chelsea being born. Now you're getting ready to miss Blake being born. Make a long story short, they kept me back for an extra week or so. And then I was able to, go to Okinawa after that. So
that's cool. Sometimes, it's real hit and miss. Some leaders are like, hey, that's important. We got to, let's make this work for them. And some leaders are like, hey, man, orders are orders. You got to do what you got to do. That sucks. And then just keep going. I mean, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. For me, I made sure, unless we're in combat, unless we're in a combat situation where there's nothing you can do about it, but if we're on some kind of field op for 30 days, whatever the case would be, I made sure my Marine was there because I don't want him to go through the same thing I had to go through with my family.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. So how was the workup for Fallujah? I mean, did you guys do much of a workup, or was there much of a workup required? This is in, so
Yeah.
just to clear up, where this is in like '05, right? When you guys deployed there?
Yeah, it's 05. Yeah.
Okay.
So, of course you did Mojave Viper like you always do, but the workup was pretty intense. Probably one of the better workups I've done. So we did a lot of urban, combat towns, stuff like that. A lot of stuff like that. Of course, when you go to Mojave Viper, they make things a lot bigger than what they are.
Yeah.
The scenarios are not very realistic. In my opinion, either it was like, you were killing everybody in sight, or you were being being very passive. So passing out soccer balls and stuff like that. So, winning hearts and minds. So yeah, I mean, the workup was good. I don't think Mojave Viper, in my opinion, was real beneficial at the time.
That happens.
But the workup was good. I mean, I felt really comfortable because I was a platoon commander in Afghanistan, and then I think I got a new platoon. I was a gunny then, and I think a platoon. I got a new lieutenant, so I was really comfortable where my platoon was at as far as training, and so he showed up like 3 weeks or a month before we're getting ready to leave. So I pretty much ran the show anyways when he got there, because he's still learning.
Yeah. So when you guys got in country, this is post Phantom Fury. That's all done with. Now it's kind of a rebuild situation or
Yep.
holding. How would you describe the situation on the ground? And
Okay.
what was your guys' role?
The situation there was terrible. It was terrible. Like the first 30 days we were there, we were like Central Fallujah. And then after we were there for like 30 days, we did a rip tow, I think with 3-7, I think, or 2-7. And they're at the CMOC, the government center in Fallujah. And that's probably the worst place to be in as far as the fob wise, because there's only one way in, one way out. So I know we were doing the Rip Toa. I think it was a 2-7 or 3-7. I can't remember. But I remember I was in a different area. But we had 3 squads were out there. Three of us in different areas. My lieutenant and this was sergeant from 2-7. They were stuck on a piece of ordnance, unexploded ordnance. And then this kid got, he was like a corporal actually. He got shot in the shoulder. That was like the first 30 days we were there.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh shit, this place is gonna suck. And then we started getting indirect fire RPGs like every single day at the CMOC. And I think shortly after that, we lost a couple of Marines in the battalion. They were actually taking a shit in the shitters, and they got killed by indirect fire. So I think that deployment we lost like 25 Marines. I think we lost like 12 in 1 week because of a sniper, and we didn't realize it till they came out with the video, man. And they came out with the video. We're watching this video, and I lost a Marine. Another Marine got really seriously injured on an ambush and also by a sniper. But we realized that they're shooting from a vehicle platform. So we had no idea. Like my Marines were shooting the opposite way, and this guy's around the corner shooting from the platform and inside a vehicle.
Okay. Yeah, fuck. How do you find that,
Yeah, I mean, it was nearly impossible.
That's the same thing that was happening with the DC sniper here, like 10
Yep.
years ago or however long ago. It took them forever to find out who they were or where it was coming from, because they had like a fake tail light or something in the car, and they were shooting through that.
Yeah, same thing. That's like what they were doing in Fallujah.
Yeah, you lost 12
exactly.
guys to the snipers, huh?
Yeah, we lost 12 Marines in a week.
Damn, man. That's crazy. Like all across the AO, or just like within your company?
All across the AO. I mean, we were fortunate. I think we only lost 2 Marines. We had a lot of people get injured, but we only lost 2 Marines. But I think Golf Company is one of those get hit the hardest, and they were like near ECP3. They're like near closer to the Euphrates. They were getting hit hard.
So what did you guys do to try to counter that? What was the plan?
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. So the bright idea during that time was, okay, we're gonna go take over some Iraqis' house, right? We're not gonna kick them out. We're gonna stay in their house, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna observe and like have sniper DM positions set up and watch. So looking back at then, the way I look at it is I think we're just kind of hiding because we want to lose any of the Marines. That's how I feel about it now. So I think we were trying to counter sniper operations, but I had no snipers in my platoon. I had two Marines or designated marksmen.
Yeah.
But we didn't have anybody who was snipers in my platoon. But during that time, our sniper platoon was terrible.
Well, how so?
Oh my God, man! Just the leadership, the training, they were useless, man. Like,
were these school trained? Were they all school trained guys, or?
I would say half were school trained. So half were school trained, but the platoon sergeant was an idiot. But anyways, make a long story short, so typically how we were working it back then, they would insert with a platoon, and then we drop them off to their position, whatever, right? So this is at nighttime. We're supposed to do a high value target hit. Excuse me. And it was actually in correlation too with second recon too. Well, so we had second recon in their hide. We had our snipers in their hide, and both our snipers and recon snipers had their strobe lights going. I could see their strobe lights going like in the distance, like with our MBGs on. I'm like, what the hell? So I call over there, like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're compromising your position. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, that's just one example. Not just I'm not talking about recon, but our sniper platoon at the time was terrible. It's like they were useless. We honestly didn't use them. I don't think we used them the way we should because I think the battalion, they had no faith in them.
Damn, that sucks, man. Especially because I'm sure there were some definitely good dudes there. You're probably going to receive some hate mail for this.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's good dudes there, but I think Carr would say the same. Well, I think Carr went to he was a log chief during his deployment, so he really didn't know. But we just there's an idiot staff sergeant that was in charge of him and was an idiot. So, and I knew he was an idiot before he was going over to sniper platoon because I took over his platoon, and when me and him were doing the changeover, I'm like, this guy's a tool bag.
Damn. Well, we don't have to. We don't have to go into more detail about who he is or what he did.
Yeah, I'm going to say his name.
So, fuck those. Still, you lost 12 guys in 1 week, man. That's crazy. Like, that had to have been very demoralizing for the entire unit.
Yeah, I mean, it was demoralizing. I'll give you an example. So, this is the one time actually. Intel was pretty good, right? So we were told that there was like a group of 8 to 10 insurgents supposed to attack the governor of Fallujah, right? So it was 3rd Platoon. They were doing this regular convoy patrol, and they actually found these guys on the BOLO list, right? Mm-hmm. So, and this is after we lost 12 Marines in that week, and they capture these guys. They're in vehicles. They capture these guys, and they their trunks are loaded with RPGs, sniper rifles, you name it. Explosives, IEDs, whatever. So when I got out there, I just said the Marines are being a little rough with these guys, and I pretty much had to tell them, like, listen, it's like we already got them. You being a little rough with them is not doing any good because someone could be filming this right now, causing more enemies, than what we have. So yeah, the Marines were frustrated, they're angry. So when they had opportunity to show some of their frustration, they're a little rough with these guys, and they already had them captured, so there's really no point.
And the unfortunate reality is those dudes probably got released, at some point anyway, right?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what exactly what happened? But during that time, man, like during that time in Fallujah, because I went back in 2007, you couldn't trust the Iraqi police. You couldn't trust the Iraqi military. Iraqi army. They were just all horrible. And I think the Iraqi police were setting IEDs up, against us back then. So you really, so I don't know how it all played out as far as these guys got released or whoever, how it happened.
Yeah. Well, I remember in 2009 when I was there as a mechanic, we used to do some work for an Iraqi police advisor team they would bring their Humvees and stuff in. And one time they got hit by some kid came out of the crowd and threw an RKG-3 at them, which is the shape-charged. For those that don't know, it looks like a potato masher grenade. And then when they throw it, it has a little parachute that pops out the back to straighten it out so that it hits straight on, and it has a shape charge in it that'll blow through the armor. And what happened was it blew through the Humvee door's armor into the corpsman was sitting there, and it went through his calf, his right calf, and then his left ankle. And so they medevaced him out of Fallujah. And I guess when it happened, I was talking to these guys. When it happened, they said the Iraqi army or police, I can't remember, I think it was the police, told him, like, get the fuck out of here. Basically, like, we're not helping you. Get out. And I think after that, they stopped. This was in 2009. I don't think they sent any more advisor teams back to Fallujah after that. But I could be wrong. If someone out there knows different, feel free to reach out.
I mean, another problem, too, is if we got hit by an IED, back then, especially on Route Fran, that's the main road that goes through the center of Fallujah. Mm-hmm. Our Humvees, we didn't have armored vehicles. We had high backs with what do you call that stupid, whatever it's called, blanket in there. We didn't have up armor vehicles. So I think the first Marine that got hurt in our company was one of my squad leaders, and they're doing but I just got back like 1 a.m. and they're doing another patrol. I think my platoon commander took them out, and they get hit by an ID in a high back Humvee, and the kid lost his leg because, there's no way it's going to stop. Yeah. I think it was ballistic blankets we had back then, but there's no way it's going to stop that.
Yeah.
The ice system back then, that was a bunch of BS,
Yeah. So, you were there in that time frame when people realized there was a really bad IED threat, because during the invasion, that wasn't a thing. Like, what's an IED? It's a landmine is what they would think. And then it became a threat. And then I think we did a pretty good job of, like, the industrial, the military industrial complex, like, fucking speeding up and building armored vehicles and shit. It just took some time to get all that stuff in place. And as it got better and better, and I'm sure you saw different versions of, like, the original L armor, which was super thin. And then they had the ones with the, like, thin windows on them. And then it just slowly got thicker and thicker, and the Humvees became these, like, every door was like a vault door, basically. Yeah. That weighed like 600 pounds each.
Well, that's how it was in 2007. From going back there in 2007 to 2005, we all the vehicles were, up armored. So.
Were you still in Humvees?
Yeah, we're still in Humvees.
Okay. Yeah, I think after that is when they started phasing Humvees out. Mostly, it was like, hey, no Humvees outside the wire. I think only the Iraqi army and stuff had the Humvees, and same deal in Afghanistan. That's why when you see all these Humvees that got left behind, I'm like, those weren't really ours anyways. We haven't been using those in Afghanistan for years because we have the MATV, we have different, like 4 or 5 different versions of the MRAPs, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's weird, man. That's when you were there and you guys are doing these patrols and stuff. Obviously, patrolling in Fallujah, in a city in Iraq, is different than patrolling in the farmlands of Afghanistan. Yeah. How long were your patrols? What were your major concerns? Obviously, IED is a major concern, but outside of like the actual IED threat, what were other concerns that you were really worried about being inside that, like, really tight urban environment? Yeah.
So I mean, it got to a point where we really stopped using Humvees because the ID level was so bad. So we're pretty much doing everything on foot. So I remember, you really couldn't. Let's say you found an IED, right, and you're on a patrol. You had to wait for EOD to show up, and then they always wanted you to do outer and inner security around the IED, right? Well, it's so bad then that we couldn't do that, because if we were visible, right? We're getting shot by snipers, so we actually had to do our inner security inside of a building because it was so bad. So like I'll give you an example. We had a new warrant officer come out from EOD. He's all butthurt because he didn't see us around because we weren't standing in the open, around this IED. And I was like, listen, dude, it's like, you just got here yesterday. I said, we don't stand outside anymore because we're gonna get waxed. We lost 12 Marines in 1 week during a sniper fire. So you get used to it. So you're gonna see us in freaking buildings doing security because that's what we have to do.
Yeah, for sure. That's crazy, man. Living under the threat of a sniper like that, just that in itself is demoralizing, constantly being on the lookout. Were you constantly trying to move? Like when you're outside, you just not stand still?
Yeah, I mean, we're it's like, let's say we crossed like Fran, for example, the main route I was talking about in Fallujah. We were running across the road. Yeah. Like sprinting, like not straight, like sideways, just to get across the road because we'd always take some kind of fire. It's not saying it's always sniper fire, but it'd be some kind of fire.
So danger areas were really, really dangerous. It wasn't it wasn't just fucking around like in training. No. It was like for real. This is like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Marines knew if we're crossing a danger, we're sprinting pretty much across.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's tough stuff, dude. I mean, I don't know. How did you guys feel at the end of the deployment? Like after losing that many guys, how was the battalion pretty beat up? I mean,
I don't know. I think we felt defeated. And I think we kind of felt defeated a little bit because we never got the sniper. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of felt like, hey, how many more Marines are going to die? I mean, trust me, we're glad to get out of there by all means. But I think all of us said, after that deployment, like we never want to go back. Then we went back again. So, I mean. I think we felt defeated. I think also, you get back, you feel guilty. You feel guilty, especially for me, for example. Let's say, I was the watch officer that day, and I sent a patrol out, and Marines got hurt or killed, and you're like, well, I sent them over there because that's what I was told by the intel to send them, in that area. And then you kind of feel guilty and you feel responsible at the time,
But I mean, the alternative is not sending people out, and it's even a worse situation. So right. I know what you're saying, though.
I mean, if you look at it, it's just part of grieving process. For sure. That's what it was. It's more like if I would have like when my Marine first casualty, not casualty, but first medevac, when he lost his leg, I blame myself because I wasn't there. But I just got back like. We never had a break. We never had a break of patrol. If we're on patrols, we're out there 24/7. So we always have overlapping patrols.
Were your patrols mostly mounted then? Because you make it sound like at first they were mostly mounted and then you moved to dismounted.
No, I think we try to vary it up because we went on set patterns.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It was never a set like, hey, this week we're doing mounted patrols. We kind of just we want to try to think like the enemy. We want to try to surprise them too. Even though everybody knows we're out there.
Yeah, and I understand how you said you guys felt defeated and stuff because you don't want to be over there doing your job, being dictated to by the enemy. Like you're having to do certain things and watch yourself because there's a very effective, enemy force out there that's making you change how you would normally operate, which, I mean, I can see how that would be just fucking depressing, like.
Yeah, I mean, whenever they change tactics, we had to change our tactics too. We try to be one step ahead of them, which at times is pretty difficult,
So knowing like how bad that deployment was, what was your feeling like when you got word that you guys are going back to Fallujah the next year?
I guess, of course we were watching the news and it didn't seem that bad or like that, then we found out there's a reserve battalion there. So we were kind of nervous too as well. So I was a company gunny at the time, for Fox Company 26. So of course all the company gunnies go out there like a month prior or so before, the rest of the units go out there. And, when I got out there, and I found out they lost like I don't know, like 20 Marines, whatever the case may be. And then I was just talking to like their company's leadership and stuff. I was like, so it seems like you guys don't do any patrolling during the day. No, we don't patrol during the day. I'm like, why? He's like, well, because we get shot at. I'm like, what the hell? It's like, well, so we're basically, what you're saying is you're basically letting the enemy do what they want to do. So for some reason during this time we were going to Briar. That's where the battalion, or that's where the battalion headquarters is at. And that's where, I just, everybody knows that's like right outside Camp Fallujah. It's a separate little base there. Mm-hmm. So we're going back there for a logistic run. And so the Marines wanted to go get chow in the chow hall there because we had tray rats, So I was like, okay, well, I just got here. I'll stay watching vehicles. And, it was the XO and their company gunny. And they're like, well, we're going to keep a Marine out there with you. I'm like, all right, whatever. So within 5 minutes, them eating chow, 2 of the Marines got shot by a sniper. So I told the young Marine, hey, go run in there and go tell your captain and the company gunny that you 2 Marines are down over by the Blue Mosque. So they all came running out. I'm like, well, so are we going to go? Are we going to go out there and help these guys? Oh, no, we'll just meet them at Fallujah Surgical. So I was like, oh my God, man. So, but yeah, so, so I think eventually, by the time they left, I think they lost like 26, 27 Marines, the battalion did.
That's crazy. Was it the 25th Marines or 23rd Marines that lost a bunch of dudes, especially they had lost a ton in one strike on like a Amtrak or something, I believe, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it was 25th Marines, if I remember correctly. I think it was Bravo Company. I believe that the one I switched over with. But yeah, we were at the train station then. But so anyways, I called back. I called back to Lejeune and talked to the first sergeant. I'm like, hey man, I was like, just so you know, this place fucking sucks right now. It's like, they lost more Marines than we lost in 05. So when the Marines get here, I'm going to brief them like, hey, this is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. So make a long story short, I think the first month or so we lost like 3 Marines in the battalion, 3 or 4, if I remember correctly. And then Colonel Mullen, eventually General Mullen, they were doing an operation in freaking God, why can't I think of the name of the city right now? God, it'll come to me. Fallujah was always a bad city. Another city in Iraq. I can't think of it right now. But anyways, yeah, Ramadi. So they're doing a huge operation in Ramadi. I think it was 1-6, I think, or 1-6 or 3-6. I can't remember. So basically, what they're doing, they were clearing like every single district out, and then setting up some kind of security there. So, anyways, make a long story short, I think after a month we were there, we did Operation Elja in the city of Fallujah, and we shut the city down. And I didn't lose any Marines, man. That was the best deployment I've ever been on. So yeah, we did Operation Elja, and pretty much when we would jump around from district, we didn't go like in order, like from one district like to the next. We kind of jump around so that we're not setting a pattern. So then we started paying the local people to be security, in their area where they lived at, and we had no problem, man.
Yeah, so you were just going around reinforcing areas as needed then.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much what we're doing is like having them take ownership of their community.
Yeah.
As far as like cleaning it up, I think we paid them $50 a month or whatever it was to do that, and it was a successful deployment. We lost like 2 or 3 Marines at the beginning of deployment, and that was it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's crazy. Did you see like a change in the enemy tactics from your first deployment to your second deployment?
I mean, not really, because we did Operation Elja so quickly, and then the city was shut down. Mm-hmm. So there's really no enemy force against us. It's more against like different government officials. I think I think 3 or 4. I know one guy was like a warlord or whatever in Fallujah. He got killed, but it was really quiet, man. We had nothing going on, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what you can hope for, right?
Right.
It's better than going in and being crazy.
But that's what I'm saying. It was the most successful deployment I've been on because I didn't lose anybody. So it was successful. Of course, the young Marines didn't think so because they didn't know. But all these guys here, this is our 3rd deployment. The Afghanistan and Iraq and Fallujah already. So we told them like enjoy it while you can because this doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, everybody wants to get into a firefight until they've been in a few, and then it's like, man, that's not cool. Like,
it's not. It's not. I mean, yeah. I mean, Marines want to fight, but it's not cool when you lose one of your own.
yeah, for sure. It changes everybody's perspective on it. You know.
Yeah, everybody's perspective.
That's why you can see a lot of. I was reading something on Facebook when that suicide bomber went off in Kabul and killed those 13, and one of the people that wrote a response to one of their friends dying online was talking about how everything became more real. Like they understood the memory the bracelets that people have and the photos they've seen of memorial services, and it's like, now that I'm actually having to attend one, it's like it gives you a whole different perspective of what the job is. Because some of those people that were killed were like not even combat arms. They were like from MLG that were just assigned for that mission. And so for them and their friends, it's even more of a shock, because it's like you almost have an office job. You don't get killed doing an office job until, something like that happens. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, you bring up a good point, man, because when we had the first casualty in my platoon, first in the company, and I was telling these Marines all this, prior to training and blah blah blah. So I said, when we get someone injured or killed, all this training is going to make sense to you, And then once that happened, they're like, I understand what you're coming from now. Yeah, they didn't understand it at the time.
Yeah, I mean, and with our extended amount of time we spent in Iraq and Afghanistan, the training only got better too, because we realized, hey man, like we would do tourniquet drills, just learning how to do that, because it seems so simple. Just put it on your arm and tighten it down or whatever. But it's like, in real life, it's not going to be that simple. There's going to be all kinds of chaos and different things happening. It's like all these little things that you got to think about. How's this going to be in that situation? And until you've been in that situation, you don't know. So it's like trying to prepare for the unknown as best as possible. That's the only bad part about the wars like basically kind of ending, is that institutional knowledge is going to phase out, because all these guys that were, early Iraq and Afghanistan vets are going to start retiring, and there's been no people going to actual like combat deployments. Like they've been going to Afghanistan and stuff, but a lot of times it's almost nothing happening, because it's 20 years into it. And yeah, that's just unfortunate. And it's hopefully like podcasts like this and other shows where people talk about some of the stuff that they did, I don't know, remains as a refresher for some people. I've talked about them before. There's an Instagram page where Blakewater 03, I think I fucked it up last time I said 0321. It's 0321 or 0327. He does like kit considerations. And he goes and talks about like, hey, here's different ways to wear this different types of gear. Here's all the different flashlights. Here's what this one's good for. Here's what this one's good for. Here's the different kind of fucking headsets. This is what this one's good. Like that stuff like he's doing is great, because it's that institutional knowledge that has been learned over years of the global war on terrorism. And he's like recording it so that people can go back and reference that. As silly as it sounds, I guess, to go to someone's Instagram page to learn that, like, it's such valuable information that he's putting out there,
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because I was talking to one of my Marines. I think when I was a gunny, he was a sergeant, I think, and he was talking about his time being on the West Coast, how his platoon was so good. I was like, dude, it's like you're not looking at the big picture, man. Because we had a real good company back, for those deployments, and it's like what you're not looking at, man. It's like all your squad leaders and your majority of your team leaders were all combat vets. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they were so good. And then I said, so people like yourself, who's been there, you're coming up on retirement now, and then there's not many people left. It's like when I came to the Marine Corps, there's still Vietnam veterans running around, right? They're getting ready to retire, but really, we didn't go to any combat at all for a while. So I mean. So I think that's one thing that's gonna be good about the Marine Corps. I think now they get a chance to really focus on the the basics of like what we used to do before, global war and terrorism. I'm not saying we're going to go to war with China or whoever, but, when I first came to the Marine Corps for several years, we were in the field Monday through Thursday every single week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And okay, we weren't doing, we weren't always, majority of the time we weren't clearing out houses, stuff like that. We're just doing like, Vietnam era training and, stuff like that. So, but what I'm saying is, but the Marines should, I would think anyways, they should be more mentally and physically tough now, because they're going back to the base with the Marine Corps known as being amphibious and stuff like that.
Maybe. I don't know, man. I don't think today's Marine Corps is physically, well, maybe physically, but I don't think they're as mentally tough in some aspects. Maybe they are. I don't know. I'm an old guy looking back, going back in my day. Yeah. It's the from what I've gathered from people that are still in that I've talked to is that the mentality's getting worse. You're getting this generation of kids that are fucking have had nothing but good lives. You know what I'm saying? Even people that have had shitty situations. Shitty situations in the United States would be a great situation in a lot of other places. And then we've gotten accustomed to being super comfortable. I don't know, man. I hope the Marine Corps continues on, but from the outside looking in, the entire military is looking crazy. Where they're, especially when you start talking about how they're trying to call out extremists in the branches, but they're not defining what an extremist really is, and it feels political. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one wants to say it, and no one in the military can say it, but it feels really political, and people are having to, self-censor and careful what you talk about because you might be labeled as an extremist. Or I think I was telling Michael the other day, like I was saying, me and Farrell were hanging out, and I was like, dude, we got out at probably the best time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like a year before COVID hit, a year and a half or whatever. So we get to get out, just kind of live life and do good stuff. And before COVID hit, I can't imagine how dumb the military made living on base and stuff during this whole COVID environment.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, I actually live on Lejeune, and so it's so for like, I don't know, man, maybe a month and a half, 2 months or something like that, you don't have to wear any mask anymore. And then, of course, when this Delta variant came back, and you have to wear a mask wherever you go. So, so I see that. It was like, I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to be hopeful. I mean, one reason I retired, because I was studying for Sergeant Major in 2013. But one reason I retired, honestly, is because kind of what you're talking about, like these kids these days. And I'm not trying to speak like, I am older. I'm 48.
Kids these
days, every generation says this, but these kids these days is like, they think they're owed something, man. You're not owed anything, dude. Mm-hmm. Like nothing's given to you. You gotta earn it. So, we live in a generation where everybody gets a trophy for participating. So that's one reason I retired too, is because just like one, being a first sergeant freaking has its ups and downs, more lows than highs. Because, if I had to do it over again, I've probably been a gunner for sure, because I was really good at my MOS. But but the thing is like, one thing I disagree with the Marine Corps about, as far as being a first sergeant or sergeant major, is, so one thing I do like about the Army better is if you're an infantry guy, right? And you stay in your MOS if you're a first sergeant, sergeant major. Mm-hmm. The Marine Corps, hell no. It's like, when I had orders, when the monitor asked me after I was out on I-9 duty for 2 years, said, "Hey, does anybody want to leave I-9?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to leave." So I was like, and I told him, he's a grunt too, and I said, "Hey, Sergeant Major," I said, "I want to go back to the infantry." Like, "Oh hell no, you're not going back to infantry. You're going to Maintenance Battalion." I'm like, "What the fuck, man?" So, but yeah, that's one thing that, looking back on it, I understand the Marine Corps wants to be well-rounded and get a chance to see the other side of the Marine Corps, but let's be honest with you. You're better off, whatever your MOS is, if you have a young company commander, young captain, who doesn't know a whole lot. He thinks he does, or she does, but they really don't. They have no experience at all. And they're supposed to run a company, but you have a first sergeant who's an admin guy. How is he supposed to freaking help that CO, guide him in the right direction if he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about?
Yeah. No, I get that. I agree with that. I know what you're saying.
You know,
I would never. Well, I mean, then people would argue that's what the master sergeant's for. You know, that's when they're supposed to step in, but they're not gonna. I don't know. They're not gonna be able to get involved in everything like that.
Yeah, but in the infantry, man, you don't have master sergeants and companies.
Yeah, you only have them at the battalion. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Ops chief.
You might have a master sergeant maybe in weapons company. Maybe.
Yeah.
Majority of the time they're in S3.
Yeah. Yeah, but well, that's again still though they're supposed to be the person that they lean on. I'm not saying that's the perfect, you know.
Right.
I can't imagine ever being a first sergeant, man. I would never have wanted to do something like that. Like no calm weekends. I mean, I feel like every time your phone would ring, you'd probably like, God damn it. You know, you don't know what you're about to get into without looking at it and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. No, I wish I would took freaking Mike Carr's advice after you know he stayed back when we were in Afghanistan and had to do NJPs when he was a company gunning because the first sergeant went with us and he's like fuck this shit. You know, I wish I took his advice, but at the time because this is when we were in Fallujah the second time, so I had to put my package in for gunner. At the time, my battalion gunner Beecher is like, Briar, don't do it. I'm like, why? He's like, well, I've been waiting to be Chief Officer 3 for like 2 years now. So I kind of took his advice. If I had to do it over again, I would have did it differently, but it is what it is now.
I feel like most MOSs, the best option, if you're going to stay in for a career, warrant officer's got to be one of the best options out there.
I agree.
You know, like if you're maintenance, why stay and just be a fucking enlisted dude in a maintenance battalion or whatever? At least become a warrant officer and get some like decent pay, decent retirement pay, you know, and stuff like that. Like without all the bullshit of being like a full up officer. I will say when I was a 0861, I would not have gone to become a warrant officer in my field because the warrant officer in artillery, you become part of FDC, you become a targeting officer. And now you're cruising around with the FDC and surveying and doing like gun lays and stuff like that. That's like your role. And then as you move up, I think when they get to like regiment and stuff, then you get into more of the actual like targeting role. But you're completely, you know, outside of the actual fires. I don't know. You're just not. It's a admin job. You know, it's a working at the office. Yeah, you're doing targeting, but it'd be much cooler to target someone while you're out there, you know, doing shit. So that was my MOS was one where I was like, you know, this might be the only one that I wouldn't want to go be a warrant officer in. And that's only because I was like, I'm going to try to milk this JTAC thing as long as I can. Like if I can make this like, because a few guys can do it, but if, you know, a few guys can do it if they play their cards right and get all the right schools, WTI being the most important one. If you get that, then you're basically a JTAC for the rest of your career, you know, because you've made it. But most guys only get to do those 2 deployments or 2 years as a JTAC, and they try to pull them back in to being a fire chief. That's how it was when I was in. It could be a little bit different now because, you know, things are changing as they're shifting their focus out to more in the Pacific and different techniques that are coming, you know, being messed around with, and the wars here are ending. So now we got to figure out how to fight in Pacific Islands and shit like that.
True.
So
I got a question for you. So what do you think about the Marine Corps getting rid of tanks and getting rid of you know, some of the 8th Marines?
Well, I mean, so tanks, I don't agree with them necessarily getting rid of all tanks. If they were like, hey, we're going to take the tanks off the MEU, I'd be like, cool. Because a tank on a MEU is like, for those that don't know, like the MEU, the Marine Expeditionary Unit, you know, the deployment on ship, that tank takes up a lot of space. And anytime that tank comes off, the wrecker has to come off too. So that's a shit ton of space on a ship. And we have stuff pre-positioned all over the world. So it's not like necessarily like you're going to need the one on ship. I get its purpose. It'd be cool to have when you need it, like, you know, break glass in case of an emergency kind of deal. But I don't get having it out there for that. And now for just to have and to be able to send places and do things, I don't understand why we'd get rid of it. You know, they're talking about fighting on Pacific Islands. Like, what are you talking about? Like tanks would be perfect for that. You know, tanks would be great for moving around on these islands and stuff. I don't know. I guess I hope that there's stuff happen. You know, being on the outside, being on the inside was cool because you get a peek behind the curtain and you kind of understand the full picture of why things are the way they are that won't necessarily make sense if you're looking on the outside. And I'm hoping that's kind of where I'm at. I'm on the outside looking in, going, what the fuck are they doing? But in reality, they got a pretty good handle on the situation and stuff like that. I don't know, man. I think we should have kept something like that, especially with how old AAVs are, how old LAVs are. And I don't think either one has a replacement coming down the pipes. The AAV one, I think, just got scrapped again, or just got something happened with it. So, man, you were an AAV company. Did you ever see an AAV go into the water, like go down? Like
man, yeah. So this is good. This is when we're doing like, let me try to remember the exact terminology. So we were part of the MEU. We're getting ready. We're training for the MEU. So I forgot what it was called. There's an abbreviation for it, but we used to go to like right outside of Puerto Rico and do this training, right? So anyways, make a long story. This happened at Onslow Beach. I never get the track 207. I think we just got back from CAX, back then, and our the track commander is a corporal, and I was like, he's having trouble with the track all week. And I was like, so are we going to have no problem, getting in the water, splashing and all that? No, we're not going to have problems. So anyways, make a long story short, we were off the coast of Onslow Beach, maybe like, I don't know, 7-8 miles out maybe. And we splashed, and we were in the middle of freaking the ocean, and it started smoking. It started filling in water. So make a long story short, so I think
you were in this track?
Yeah, I was in this track. I had 2 Marines that were going down for heat exhaustion. They had to send the boat. They had to send a boat from the main boat to come get us, so we can get off the track, and they had to tow the track back before we sunk.
Jeez, man! So you were sitting in it, waiting on someone to come out there while it was filling with water?
Yes.
Ah, man, I've never ridden in one. I definitely haven't splashed. Somehow I made it 12 years without ever riding in one, but I never splashed in one. But that just seems super sketchy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it sucked. Well, and then you got to think too. This is like 96, I think. And you also got to think like these are the old tracks, like the old ones before the new ones they have now.
Oh, really?
So I mean, yeah.
So it was a completely different model, huh? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I never been in a new track.
I thought the new ones came in the 80s. I didn't know they were that newer, I guess. Not new, really. But.
Yeah, no, I thought they had some new ones that come in the 2000s. I thought maybe I was wrong.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Shit, I don't know either, man. I'm not a tracker. It's just what a sketchy situation, though. Being in the back of one of those, like. And the one that went down and all those dudes died in it, man. I mean, that's just so horrible. It's just so fucking
horrible.
And that's one of those things where you're like, haha, I hope this thing doesn't go down, before you go into the water. Yeah. And I don't know, man. That's just such a like a waste of people.
Dude,
such bullshit.
I can't even count like how many times a track would go down. You're only supposed to put a squad of Marines in there. So sometimes we have 2 squad of Marines in a track because of the other track will go down. During our workup for the MEU, whatever, and so it's like sardine. It's already sardines anyways. When you have a squad in there, you put another squad in there, you're pretty much sitting on top of each other.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's just it's crazy that we haven't found a better way. You know what I'm saying? And I think honestly, well, no. When do we ever even use tracks? Only in training.
MEU. Yeah, MEU.
Only on the MEU and in training, like when they were in Iraq and shit, they stopped using them because they were fucking death traps, because they have like a fuel bladder along one whole side of it, and there's like basically no armor. I mean they're armored with quotation marks. I don't know what that means. Like maybe a 9mm can't go through it, but anything above that.
Well, they supposedly they say 7.62 is not supposed to go through it. Supposedly, I don't know. That's what they say, but
IEDs will fucking rip through those things.
Oh God, easily, yeah. I mean, once the war started, we didn't use tracks, man, at all for anything. One thing I did want to talk about, because I don't think I put into the information when I sent it to you, but one thing I did want to talk about, it was 1996. I did Super Squad. That's of course before all the war started and all that stuff like that. But I was a team leader. And then so everybody knows how Super Squad works. Each battalion that's not deployed will put a company up, and usually you do a battalion competition, and you do a regiment competition, do a division competition, and then whoever wins the division goes to the White House. I mean, not the White House, goes to the Commandant's house in Washington D.C. and gets presented with the Super Squad badge, and you get if you're a Lance Corporal or Corporal, you get promoted, blah blah blah. And so, anyways, yeah, I did that in '96, and we won. That was pretty cool, man. A lot of training though. We're in the field like every single week for like 6 months straight, but it was challenging though.
Isn't the Super Squad badge like that one of those gold ones that you wear with your?
Yeah. Yep.
So there's always weird ones like that people don't like fully understand what they are.
Right. So it's gold, and then you have a Marine carrying a rifle, like running,
mm-hmm.
and then on the back of it, like I don't have mine in front of me right now, but on the back of it, it has your name engraved into it, as far as what year you won and stuff like that. So
that's pretty cool. I didn't know you get to go to like the Commandant's house and do all that.
Yeah. So like I think at first we had a division formation, and I got promoted meritorious to the corporal, which I didn't want anyway, because I had remedial and package for 9 months. But anyway, so did that, and then we went to the Commandant's house, and it was like it was just before the evening parade,
mm-hmm.
And then during the evening parade, you got recognized and blah blah blah.
That's awesome.
At the time, the Commandant was General Krulak, and I think the Sergeant Major was Sergeant Major Smith. I can't remember, but Sergeant Major Lee at the time, and that's who the Sergeant Major was. So so your families were there, and then at the evening parade, you got recognized at the evening parade too as well. That's
something I've always wanted to just attend. That'd be pretty wild to get it recognized in the middle of that. Were you super nervous out there? Because there's a lot of that's a huge thing.
No, I don't think I was nervous. I think I was more nervous in division formation.
Yeah.
Because we're doing a field op, and it was pouring. Like when I got promoted meritoriously, I think I was the only person getting promoted, right? And it was pouring rain, so the whole division's out there. I'm a jackass getting promoted, and everybody's like, "What the fuck?"
The whole division's watching you get promoted to corporal. Oh, stand by for blood stripes after that.
Yeah. So, I think I was more nervous for that because I already knew it was going to happen when I got back to the barracks. So, or even before I got back to the barracks, I think. But yeah, so I already knew it was going to happen.
That's funny, man. I guess we can wrap up with you were talking about being in Africa, that you were
mm-hmm.
training African. What were you doing there, and what was that gig?
So when I retired for like 4 or 5 months, I was working for Agility, a contracting company,
mm-hmm.
and basically it was part of the ACOTA program, like African Contingency Training Agency, maybe. I can't remember what the A stands for. Anyways, so they would send prior military, to Africa to train African forces. So I basically trained them on tactics and marksmanship and stuff like that. So, but it was interesting because just to get there was like a 25-hour trip just to get to where we're at. So it was, it was a long flight. I had to fly from North Carolina to somewhere in Africa. I think Ivory Coast.
All civilian, right? Civilian flights?
Yeah, all civilian. Yeah, civilian flights.
Does it feel sketchy when you get on some of those flights in the African nations?
Yeah, man, it was kind of sketchy because one time when I was going there the first time, I had changed flights, right? And and my French wasn't very good. It was kind of just really average. So I'm asking, the stewardess. I'm like, hey, in French, I was like, do I stay in this plane or get off? They're like, get off. So I get off, right? So when I got off, I had to go through customs again. And when I was in the Ivory Coast, and they're like, where's your shot record at? And I'm like, so I show my shot record. No, it's got to be in this yellow shot thing. So I had to pay like $20 to get this yellow shot thing, which was probably pocket the money anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyways, I was supposed to stay on that flight, and I didn't because I didn't know, right? So I had to wait for the next flight, and then so I guess there the police had to escort me wherever I went. I felt like a prisoner. So I was stuck in this office with African police for like 8 hours, just waiting to catch my flight.
That's good times.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a good gig, man. I mean, it was good money. The only thing I didn't like about it is, like, let's say I did a course that was like 3 weeks long, whatever. And then let's say the next course didn't start for a week later, right? Well, I had to fly all the way back to North Carolina, after doing that trip, because DoD paid for the plane ticket, and the agency didn't pay for it. The DoD did. So I'd have to come all the way back and then fly back out there like 3 or 4 days later, do the whole trip again. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Really?
If I just got to, yeah.
I'd just stay and be like, fuck it.
Well, that's why I said. I said, I even said, can I stay? And they're like, no, you have to go back. I'm like, you have to pay me. I said, I just don't want to do this trip back. Finally, just got to a point where just like, just doing that trip back and forth, 4 or 5 times, it just got old.
Yeah, I bet, dude. Fuck yeah. Yeah. So having a little taste of the contracting world, do you recommend it to people getting out, like as a good gig, or do you see it as more? I personally, when I got out, I got I was a JTAC-E, so there's a lot of
Right.
JTAC, contracts that people need. And I just felt like if I was going to jump into that world, that was probably it. I was probably not going to leave
Right.
that world, because I'm in my, I'm 37. So
Right.
how long can I go do contracting? At what point am I going to start a real job? Quotation marks
Right.
there, scare quotes. Like, so how do you see it as, like, maybe for someone getting out when they're like 22, they just did one enlistment and they get out. Do you think that's a good, like, kind of in between gig just to get some money before you enter into the civilian workforce?
Yeah, I think so, but I think it also depends on who you work for too.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. It depends who you work for and what you're doing, and they make all these promises to you and stuff like that. So, like, not trying to jump around, but I had so many opportunities to be like a team leader, for like Blackwater and all those other ones when I got out, and I think Blackwater switched to, I forgot what company it switched to. Anyways, but yeah, a bunch of opportunities to do that stuff. But then I thought about it. I was like, well, I already been to Iraq and Afghanistan. Do I want to take a chance of dying again? Or plus, I didn't really know who I would be with.
Yeah.
That was always back in my mind. Like, okay, what kind of training do these guys have? So that's why I kind of did the ACOTA program, because it was just kind of me and another guy that trained them. And there's really no threat. I mean, there's threats everywhere, but there's really not a threat like, if you went to Iraq or Afghanistan.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a gig,
I think it just depends. I think it just depends on the person as far as where they're in their life, who they're working for, and what do they want to get out of it. It's just the money. So it's just the money, yeah. Or are you looking because you missed the military, you want to have some kind of camaraderie?
Yeah.
I think it just depends on what you want to do.
Are there because so what you were saying before about how they make a lot of promises and stuff like that, are
Right.
there any kind of resources out there for people that are looking into getting into contracting to find out, like, who's legit, like what companies are the best? Like, there's got to be a Reddit subthread, or there's got to be a subreddit and all that shit.
I mean, I honestly don't know. I mean, I think podcasts like this would help out for sure, but I really don't know of a good tool.
It's almost you got to reach out to people that are in the organizations
right.
already,
or you got to reach out to people who's done it before. You know what I'm saying, or have experience. So I really don't. I really don't have a good answer for that. I don't know, because I was kind of going there blinded as well. Dealing with those different companies when I got out as far as what I wanted to do. And then you kind of just hear horror stories, or you see horror stories. Like, I'll give you an example. I had a Marine who was killed. And I think I want to say it was 08, 09 in Iraq. And at first it said he was killed by a sniper. And I'm not going to name the company that he worked for at the time, but make a long story short, they were covering it up as far as what happened. And make a long story short, the Marine that was killed, he was shot by another Marine that was fucking around with a pistol and shot him in his face.
No way.
Yeah, but they were covering this up, saying he was killed by a sniper. And I was like, there's no fucking way.
So basically someone got away with murder?
Well, no, the person didn't get away with murder because it all caught up.
Okay.
It came out in the wash. But I'm saying initially, like, this is when I was in I-9 duty, right? I think this happened in 09.
Yeah.
08 or 09, right? So he was from Michigan, so I went to Michigan for his funeral, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this there's a company representative there, and I was talking to this guy, and I was like, so you're telling me that he was killed by a sniper? And he wouldn't look at me, and I was like, that makes no fucking sense. And we found out, I don't know, a few months later, it actually, the person that shot him was fucking around with his pistol and shot him in the head, and that's what happened. So, but they were covering up at the beginning.
That sucks. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've had a few people ask me about contract work, and I always push them to people that have been on the podcast. I've had a few people now that have been on the podcast that have done contracting, or I tell them to look like on Reddit or find some kind of Facebook groups, or reach out to people you served with that have maybe worked in one of these companies and talk to them, because they actually know, what happens. And it's one of those things that seems like once you're in, you're in. It's just getting through that hurdle of getting in, and then once you're there, you kind of, it's on you to, I don't know. It doesn't seem that. It seems pretty straightforward.
I think a lot of people get frustrated with the process. Like, for example, like if you wanted to be like being on a team, right, and you wanted to, you want to be a mobile, a mobile or guard, or do a security, right, for VIPs or whatever. Well, a lot of these companies, you have to, your bio, and I did this bio. This bio has got to be like perfect, right? It's got to be like a certain way. If it's not, it gets kicked back, and it's a real pain in the butt. So if you find a good company, they'll pretty much do it for you because they know it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Instead of you spending hours and hours and just getting kicked back. Because that happened to me once, and I was like, fuck this shit. I did this. I spent like 12 hours on this fucking thing. It's still not right. So I think it depends on what company or who you're working for and what they're willing to do to help you out too as well, because it's a process, man.
What are some top companies? Can you willing to endorse any of those companies, like ones that people can probably trust?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Agility is out anymore. I think they are. That I would endorse them because they had a good organization. I would say there's also a company I heard good things about, but I don't know a lot with it because they do a lot of cybersecurity. It's called ProSol. They that's a good company. And there's other ones, but honestly, man, I haven't kept up with this stuff in a while, so I really don't know who's still out there, who's not.
Yeah. So again, best bets, just do your research before you sign up or anything like that. All right.
I mean, I always wonder if these companies are, since the war is going away, are they going to be going away too?
No, dude. If anything, they're going to increase, because some of these missions still got to get filled. There's stuff that's happening overseas that people don't even know about that are missions.
True.
And as well as I do, contractors are used because then you can say, well, hey, we only have 500 troops on the ground. Well, they don't tell you that there's also 2,000 contractors that they're paying.
True.
So I don't see that going away. I think it will probably increase, especially, I don't know. Who knows? But for people into that, man, hopefully they can get into it. Before we wrap up, do you have any social media or anything like that you want to throw out?
Yeah, I have social media. I really, the only guy I have is Instagram, and it's Spec Red Slayer on Instagram. Like, I do a lot of fishing, so I don't have a lot of social media. Cool,
that's cool. Well, can people reach out to you there if they have questions about contracting?
Yeah, for sure.
That? Sweet, man. Yeah. All right. Well, for everybody else, my Instagram, as you know, is at Former Action Guys, at J Kramer Graphics. Both of those, jkramergraphics.com is my website. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the show. Cool, man.